Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Rolika Roach and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Anna Richardson, to address you. Minister Richardson, you have the floor.
Good morning, Honorable Prime Minister, colleague ministers, members of the press, Ms. Roach, and the listening and viewing public. This morning, I would like to provide clarity as it relates to one of my cabinet member staff members, being tested positive for COVID-19 virus. And statements published in the Daily Herald's newspaper today, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. A staff member of my cabinet last day in office was on Thursday, September 17th. On Monday, September 21st, this staff member was contacted by the Collective Prevention Services, CPS, who confirmed that they did test positive for COVID-19. The staff member then immediately communicated with me, and the cabinet as well as my person were contacted by CPS and advised to quarantine for the next 14 days, which we are currently doing. As a result, the Cabinet Office of Justice is currently closed and has been sanitized. Neither I as minister nor the remainder of the staff are experiencing any symptoms of COVID-19 virus. Allow me to repeat that. Neither I as minister nor the remainder of the staff are experiencing any symptoms of COVID-19 virus, as was mentioned in the cabinet statement, press statement. We are all currently executing our work duties from home. However, we take note that this morning it was incorrectly edited, mentioned, or a statement was indicated and published by the Daily Herald newspaper in its publication today via their various mediums. The text was shared via our medium partners, via Department of Communications yesterday, September 22nd. And we note that in the newspaper today of the Herald, the word nor, as it relates to the status of me as minister and the remainder of the staff, was omitted. Since then, the cabinet has been in contact with the Daily Herald, requesting the immediate correction of this very damaging error that was made. We have been assured that these statements will be corrected. Apologies has been expressed by the Daily Herald, which we greatly appreciate, and we look forward to the correction being published on all their online mediums and print in their tomorrow's newspaper. Such errors can negatively affect the staff member, their family, friends, and acquaintances in a time whereby persons are becoming increasingly skeptical about news. We look forward to the Daily Herald taking the necessary steps to correct this misprint and miscommunication of information to the public of St. Martin and the world at large. I am bidding everyone to stay healthy and continue to take the necessary precautions to remain safe. The staffer and family remain in our prayers, and we wish for a speedy recovery as we continue to remain in a positive frame of mind. Thank you very much for your attention, and I remain open for any questions from the press. Thank you, Rolika.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Dr. Anders Rudolph Samuel, to address you. Minister Samuel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Good morning. Good morning to you. PM, good morning. To my colleague ministers, to everyone in the media, good morning. And to St. Martin, good morning. This morning, I would like to report the following. The Student Support Services Division, Sssd, of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports is organizing an online workshop entitled Speech and Language Difficulties in Children, What Parents Should Know and How They Can Help. The general public, especially parents and guardians of primary school children, are invited to attend. This online workshop will be held on Thursday, October 15th, 2020 on Microsoft Teams from 6:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. The objective of the workshop is to inform parents, teachers, and the general public about the typical speech and language development as well as related disorders. In addition, the online workshop will also provide the attendees with tips and strategies to support children who are experiencing speech and language difficulties. Persons can register by calling Sssd ahead of the session and also by clicking the link for the workshop on the Facebook page. For more information, contact the Student Support Services Division at 543-1235 or email studentsupportservices@stmartingov.org. Again, the email studentsupportservices@stmartingov.org. The Student Support Services Division provides services to students referred by the schools. These services include, but is not limited to, psychological services, counseling services, social work services, and speech language pathology services. Sssd also provides career guidance services to students and parent education and information sessions. I would also like to remind you about applying for the School in the Netherlands workshop hosted by the Sssd. This information was in the newspaper, and it is about the following. Students applying for MBO, HBO, or WO schools in the Netherlands will learn the step-by-step process of applying and the factors to consider. The required documents requested by the schools and the deadlines will also be discussed. For the MBO schools, tips will be given, while for the HBO applicants, tips on how to navigate the application portal will be discussed. The sessions will start at 5 p.m. on Thursday, September 24th, which is tomorrow. Interested students can join by clicking the link on the Student Support Services Facebook page or by calling 543-1235. The Sssd also runs a parent support group. Tonight's group session discusses how to help your child with their social emotional needs during COVID-19. Parents who are interested should call the division in advance to be part of the parent support group. Lastly, as you are aware, on August 30th, 2020, as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, I provided an update to school boards in writing regarding the status of COVID-19 and education continuity. In the letter, school boards and parents were informed that an update would be provided in 4 weeks. This Friday, September 25th, 2020, makes exactly 4 weeks. So school boards have been invited to a meeting on September 29, 2020, when a further update will take place regarding the status of COVID-19 and the education continuity. I thank you and I await any questions.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, the Honorable Egbert Duran, to address you. Minister Duran, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Rolika. Good morning to you, members of the media. Good morning to the Honorable Prime Minister and my colleague ministers, and a special good morning to the people of St. Martin. Today, I wish to update you on the following 2 points. As you may have already read in the media, on Monday, September 21st, an island-wide cleanup of car wrecks has begun. These wrecks are an eyesore and negatively affects the country's environment and well-being, so they are being removed. It is going well so far. Since taking office, I embarked on a project along with the Department of Infrastructure Management to continue with the cleanup. This project is being executed in collaboration with the community police officers and designated contractors. Some abandoned wrecks have been already tagged, and more tagging is taking place throughout the community. I urge residents to remove their wrecked vehicles from the public areas to avoid it being taken away, as again, all wrecks are being tagged and subsequently removed. This project should take approximately 2 weeks to be completed. I would also like to announce that the Department of Inspections has embarked on a digital electrical inspection application form in efforts to progress towards the digital operating of the ministry. This initiative of a part existent transition of the ministry of its application services. The digital application was provided and prioritized following a recent agreement between the Ministry of ROMI and NVGEBE, who was previously tasked with providing the electrical inspection cards to the electricians. Currently, this service is solely being executed by the Ministry of ROMI. The project is being realized at a crucial time when minimal physical contact is favored due to the rapid spread of COVID-19 throughout our community. The team is working diligently to expedite the process in order to minimize any inconveniences. In the meantime, persons can collect the application form at the Department of Inspections at the government building. I commend the involvement of the staff of the Ministry of ROMI and everyone involved in this project thus far for their commitment and their participation. Although this project may seem small, it is a great achievement for the ministry in transitioning into becoming a digitally operated service. I would like to thank you for the time. I await any questions that the media might have. God bless the people of St. Martin and stay safe. Thank you.
Rolika, you're on mute.
Thank you for that. I thank you, Minister Duran, for your opening remarks. I would now like to invite the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Artwell Edion, to address you. Minister Edion, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Good morning to you, my fellow ministers, the media, and all of you tuning into this press briefing. My first update is in regards to the SRP. The Business Payroll Support Portal is open for July payments. This will close on October 2nd, so please make sure you apply before the deadline. A total of 690 companies have applied for the June Business Payroll Support. For the month of September, 770 persons have applied for the income support and unemployment support. 233 applicants were approved for July and August, totaling 535,000 guilders. In addition, I have pinned a video to my Facebook page and also on the government page in regards to step-by-step tutorials on how to go through the process of the portal. In this time of lockdowns and economic shifts, those with the resources to do so have been bettering themselves, upgrading or expanding their skills. It is important to recognize the shift in the work field and also to adapt to these changes. I think the most empowering thing that can be done for the people of St. Martin is to give them the tools and the skills to be able to take care of themselves long term. The Ministry of Finance has started an initiative in collaboration with SMDF to offer free courses to the public. The courses for this, what we've called the National Workforce Development Program, will be carried out through the e-learning site Coursera, with the motto, retrain, regain, and recover. These skills will be ranging from high school level to master level and grouped in packages. These courses will be on an invite basis and will be executed by government in collaboration with SMDF. All of the recipients on the unemployment, income, and payroll support list will be invited to take part in the program. We are also finalizing a similar initiative for the civil servants, allow them to take part in a similar program. Though the pandemic has been very taxing on everyone, I wanted those that are interested to be able to have the opportunity to make the best of their time. The lockdown and the switch to remote work has rapidly changed our environment and has deemed even more what is important for not only the previous generation, but our generation to adapt to the changes in technology. COVID-19 has essentially forced us forward together, so we should prepare ourselves for the new reality as best as we can. We're hoping that through this program, we're effectively able to retrain, regain, and recover. If we must fall, then it's fall forward. More information will be available soon as we adjust the SSRP website for registration, and we'll be launching our marketing campaign in the next week. I'm proud to say, and I would like to congratulate the companies or the entities that have been approved, the first entities that have been approved for the enterprise support program through credits. I encourage all of you that have a business or in the process of getting a new business started to go to the NRP website for more information on how to apply for this funding. You can also visit credits or contact, for those of you that already have a loan or business that have a loan by WIB, contact WIB for more information on this program. The Governor of St. Martin we have been for the last couple of months looking at how we could lower our expenditures. I have said in the past, we're looking at the phone bills, the gas bonds. We've also had payments deferred for at least 3 months. And I'm proud to say, with the support of the Prime Minister, that we have finalized the process with the telephones. And I would like to also go to give an indication of what we used to pay previously and how much over budget we were in the last 5 years. For example, in 2015, we had budgeted 1.2 million guilders budgeted for phone costs, and we booked 5.5 million. So we were over by 4.3 million guilders. 2016, we were over by 4 million guilders. 2017, 4 million. 2018, 3.6. 2019, 3.5. So we already saw, you see the trend that was taking place within government in the last 5 years, which is why we thought it was very important to, again, look at this area in government, a quick win where we could lower our costs. We've done the same for the gas bond situation. We had our CoM yesterday, a presentation on a new system that we will be applying through our government that would again reduce our costs when it comes to gas. In addition to that, government or the Ministry of Finance will be launching or expanding the marketing for the enterprise support program with the NRPB. We believe that, well, I personally believe that any other country in the world, we would have seen much more applicants applying for a program like this, a program where you could potentially get 65% grant on a loan of up to $150,000. I believe that in any other country, it would have been filled out in the first 2 to 3 weeks. This could be due to miscommunication or lack of communication or marketing. So we will be ramping up the initiative to market this program. We believe it's a great program, also a great program for businesses or persons with ideas that want to start a new company. So we will be to look out for the marketing, and that will be all for today, Rolika, and I look forward to the questions.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, the Honorable Richard Panaflick, to address you. Minister Panaflick, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to the members of the media, my esteemed colleagues, and the people of St. Martin. As of yesterday, September 22nd, 3 additional persons have been tested positive for the COVID-19. However, 7 persons recovered, bringing the total active cases to 62. The total number of confirmed cases now 594 from the beginning of the pandemic in St. Martin. 3 patients are currently hospitalized, and the number of deaths due to COVID-19 is 20. Of the cases, CPS are monitoring 59 people in home isolation. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin has increased to 512. 57 people are now in quarantine based on contact tracing. To further control the spread of the virus, CPS has tested 1,009 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana International Airport and 1,894 people throughout the community. We are presently going through some unfortunate times, but even though the ministry is currently focused on the COVID-19 health pandemic on St. Martin, I would like to reassure you that we are also investing attention on the social and labor aspect of the ministry, which are of great concern as well. The challenges concerning these departments will also get the necessary attention as they are plentiful and need full attention. While government is well aware of the economical situation and do all what it is in its power to address this, the employers and business owners have to remember that the employees have rights and are protected by laws of St. Martin. We all have to adhere to the law and act accordingly. Social issues will also be addressed to see what and how to provide those that are facing challenges to be helped to improve their situation. There's an article that was brought to my attention that hit the news concerning big registration. This is something that has been being on hold for a while now. And as time passes and the priorities are being set with the issues that have to be dealt with, will also be one of the items that the ministry will be dealing with. The only thing is, the article mention of a foundation and putting certain people in charge. One have to understand that a foundation have its own board, and the responsibility of its functioning is by the board, not by the minister. The minister do not appoint within foundations. Even though what medical matters concerning, the minister has a role in that. But in this specific case, I want to make clear that the intention is there, but no decision has been taken yet. I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you, Ms. Roach.
Thank you, Minister Panafleck, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Good morning, Ms. Roach. Good morning to the Council of Ministers, members of the press, and all those following and listening via whichever medium. Thank you for joining us this morning for our weekly updates. I would like to take this time to thank the President Daniel Gibbs and his delegation, as on Thursday, September 17th, the Council of Ministers held a cooperative meeting with the collectivity of Saint Martin at the Government Administration Building right here. Both governments, as elected officials of the public, took time to explain their sentiments related to the outcome of the Unity March in which they both participated on September 16th. This Unity March, which took place at the Kobe-Bellevue border and ultimately led to the lifting of the border controls at the border control checkpoints in Bellevue and French Quarter, and the later removal of the containers at Kupakoy and Oyster Pond borders. After hearing the cries of the people for several weeks, after trying on various attempts to have the discussions at the state and government of St. Martin level, which proved fruitless, as there would be no discussion in the decision that the state had taken, I'm very happy to see that the people of St. Martin came together peacefully and were able to show that we are indeed one island, one people, and if we work together, we will truly achieve that one destiny. In this meeting of French and Dutch elected officials of St. Martin, several points were addressed, such as the negative social and economic effect of the controlled borders on our people, on our businesses, on our economy, and our way of life, on our culture in general, the way we have lived for over 300 years. There was discussion on the need to better synchronize the preventive health measures and also promote a healthy St. Martin. The continuation of joint cultural and tourism projects were also discussed, as well as what was actually turned out to be the main discussion, the creation of a united Congress of the elected representatives of St. Martin. This idea has been brought forth since 2015 by President Gibbs and has been talked about back and forth. However, as of that meeting on Thursday, we have definitely come to a more decisive decision, let's say, to move forward in this. My legal affairs ministry is looking at the legal aspects of having us form such a joint Congress with our French counterparts. And the goal of that would be for us to have discussions on a regular scheduled basis to deal with definite issues such as what we were dealing with today. Even in cases where we know, for instance, in case of health and defense, certain things fall outside the purview of the collectivité, the ability to influence the decision still remains there. And I believe that, and the president also believes that, together we can achieve more than government of St. Martin talking to the kingdom partners in The Hague and the collectivité with their representatives in the Senate on the French government or the préfet délégué, having these bunch of separate discussions and them going nowhere. So we're hoping that we can move forward with health protocols being currently enforced in the territory. We were informing each other of what is actually happening, the limitations of the enforcement, the differences in the authority on both sides, and that we all agreed that joint measures were needed to be implemented to be able to protect the populations of our beautiful St. Martin country. Also, what was discussed was a proposal of joint COVID-19 testing. This idea has been floating for a couple of weeks now, and I am happy to have facilitated this meeting. There is much more to be discussed as representatives of the island moving forward, and we look forward to regular discussions, debates, dialogues, and decision-making with actions that will benefit all the people. The préfet délégué was also invited to that meeting, but deferred to meet with us this week when the head of the ARS is here on St. Martin, and apparently she's scheduled to be here today. So normally the head of the ARS, which is the health department of Guadeloupe and the region, is stationed in Guadeloupe, and she is in St. Martin today. We are scheduled to have that meeting with the préfet délégué, the ARS head, myself as Prime Minister, accompanied by the Health Department and CPS representatives in order to further discuss how we will be working together to be able to collectively put tangible actions in place to fight the spread of COVID-19 on St. Martin. As we all know, this pandemic continues to challenge countries large and small around the world, and so collaboration for our 37 square miles is tantamount for us to be able to work, live, and still earn to be able to survive during these difficult times. The minister already gave the update on COVID-19 and a bit on what was being done, Minister Finance and Minister VSR. However, I'd like to reassure the people of St. Martin that we will continue working on all alternative sources to secure financing in order that we can safeguard the lives, the living, the livelihood of our people. All that we have been doing and continue to do is to seek ways to ensure that not just government's expenditures, which takes care of schools, police, we even have to pay for doctor, for medication, etc., the underprivileged, the elderly, all of these standing debts that we have as a country, costs, including to run this building, to pay our civil servants, etc. That is important, that is a priority, but also ensuring that there is possibility for business, that people can continue to work and sustain themselves. And that's why I also commend the minister in continuing to push for the program whereby our local entrepreneurs, our businesses that exist, as well as any new business ideas. We've been talking about this since March. If you have a dream, now is the best time to go for it. You're down, but you're not out. You need a great idea, and maybe you need to collaborate with others. When we look at business models around the world, we are seeing the most successful models are the collaborative ones. We are a very small island, and yes, we want to do things on our own, but sometimes 2 to 3 business persons with the same idea would be able to better get a good result that they can share in than on this tiny island to be in competition with each other. So I encourage all of you to look into the information our Minister of Finance has been talking about, those with new ideas, those with existing businesses, and take advantage of this 60-40 possibility for a grant, which is a gift to be able to move forward in these times, and a loan, which after some time you'll be expected to pay back. We are resilient people. People think it's overused, but I have seen St. Martin come back, and come back again. And I truly believe that we have it within us to, tighten our belts, which we are doing as government. But of course, the people of St. Martin also have to do that and move forward doing what we can to help those who are more vulnerable than us, build them up so that together we are a stronger St. Martin. In the Ministry of General Affairs, I will be taking the time, as Minister mentioned, we're looking at cost-cutting measures, but we're also looking at cost-generating measures. And ensuring that all our departments are optimally functioning is very, very important to meet that. We are looking at reforms that we need to do. We are looking at policies and legislation that is necessary. But to do so, we need to ensure that we have a healthy, happy, dedicated staff doing that. So I'm going into meetings with each of the departments of the Ministry of General Affairs to tackle pending matters, find solutions, and especially ensure that there is love for the work, because there are so many people out there right now without work around the world. Those of us that have a job should put 110 or more % in to ensure that we are getting the most out, especially in service to the people of St. Martin. On the 25th of September, 2015, all 193 UN member states adopted the 2030 SDG agenda, which at its core, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, also known as SDGs. It is a non-binding declaration, and it addresses all current global ecological, social, and economic challenges, from a multi-dimensional poverty and intersectional inequality to climate change, responsible consumption and production, and conflict prevention. These SDGs are 17 goals which have 169 targets. So 169 different activities that can be achieved, which will improve life and living for our people. The overarching principle of the SDGs is to leave no one behind. We have heard of leave no child behind. Well, these SDGs looks at the total population, and the aim is to leave no one behind. So on the 25th of September upcoming, it will be exactly 5 years since we also have adopted these SDGs. We are assessing where we are and where we still need to go, as there are now 10 years left to reach the goals. We call this the decade of action. The decade of action. The time for talk is over. Let us actually execute now and ensure that when we celebrate the SDGs and raise the SDG flag over the building, as well as all throughout the kingdom, as a government, we join in this initiative to commemorate and pay attention to these key principles so that the importance of the SDGs and our partnerships for the 2030 agenda is held within our vision, in our government plans, in our policies, etc. The current realities that facing here in St. Martin, but all around the world, underlines, underpins, and stresses the importance of achieving these SDGs. They also threaten, the conditions we are in now, threatens to limit their progress. 5 years since, it is important to show our commitment and to continue with our efforts to reach the goals. Let us kick off a decade of action to reach the goals in 2030. You've been privy to our national development vision also. Many stakeholders have had their say and brought much needed feedback to the government of St. Martin, and together we will look at implementing as soon as possible each and every one of these so that we can achieve this goal. The champion Sdgs, so persons who have been working through the community over the past 5 years, are deemed SDG champions. They have been selected and they will be presented with a certificate from me as Prime Minister of St. Martin. To end, Rolika, I'm sorry it was a bit long-winded today. I'd like to add my 2 cents to the encouraging efforts of all those out there who are currently facing COVID-19 or have family members or loved ones facing it or are still struggling with the death, the passing of someone from COVID-19. Community of St. Martin, we are the ones empowered to stop the spread of this disease. Government can put measures in place. There can be all types of signs posted in glass windows, in businesses, etc. But what we do when no one is looking is what will cause this disease, this virus, to stop. Our behavior. We want to hug, kiss, and handshake, but we have to know to wash hands often. To wash hands often, because that is the only way, and know who you are constantly in contact with. We must do all to protect especially the vulnerable, as it is the vulnerable who are at risk of dying from the disease. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world have had COVID and continue to be infected. We must build our immune systems so we are able to fight the disease, and we must do everything possible to protect our most vulnerable. Let us work together to build back St. Martin and remain hopeful moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. Thank you for joining us. We now move over to the question and answer session, and as we do have an extensive media presence, we will only have 1 round of questions, and I would like to encourage all members of the media to send the rest of the questions directly to the cabinets of the ministers. I would first like to call on Nikisha Boseman of the Daily Herald. You have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. A pleasant good morning to everyone. My question is for the Minister of Finance. Minister, can you give an update on the current status of the government? There has been many concerns on whether government is able to make payroll support this month. And if not, what will be the solution?
Thank you for your question, Nikisha. Government can and will make payroll this month, and we've already sent the money for payroll to Lawrence Lattice.
Thank you, Minister Adion. Thank you, Nikisha, for that question. I would now like to invite Bibi Shaw of SMN News. You have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. My question is for the Minister of Justice, but I'll try to put in a 2-part question because I noticed we had a very long and quite a number of speakers today. Minister Richardson, thanks for the clarity with regards to your staff member that tested positive. While you said no other person in your cabinet or you are experiencing any types of symptoms, did CPS test your staff members or even you, just in case you guys are asymptomatic? I'd just like to have clarity on the testing, and so we know exactly our numbers, if our numbers are exactly correct. And since it's a COVID-related question, maybe I can ask the Prime Minister. Right now, we are having some situations with the high amount of cases in Europe. Britain is heading for a shutdown. Are we tightening our borders? I'm not saying closing because we do need money and we need to get our people here, but are we adding additional measures for our ports?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. Bibi, thank you very much, first of all, for your question, and second of all, for your publication. You published it as it was presented to you, so thank you for that. To answer your question with regards to us being tested, though, the rule of thumb, as it has been, is that you must be showing symptoms in order to be tested. So we are in quarantine. CPS has confirmed that they will stay in contact with us throughout these 14 days, just to be able to see how we are developing and how it's going. And based on that, we will continue to do it as it has been done. But as it is right now, we are all doing well. And I guess I'll turn it over to the Prime Minister for the second half of the question.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Ms. Shaw. As you know, we have regulations in place already when dealing with passengers from the U.S. We will continue to monitor this. The U.S. is considered a high-risk country. Europe was up until lately a medium-risk country. And if we have the numbers to substantiate that Europe is also a medium-risk country, then of course the testing requirements will be similarly as they are for the U.S. at the moment. Even so, even as a medium-risk country, there was the necessity to be tested to return to St. Martin or to come to St. Martin. In my recent travels to the Netherlands, I also had to be tested and await my results until they were negative before coming out in the community. And even then, took the time to remain in quarantine for some time to ensure, because the incubation period can still vary. So I would like to also reiterate, if we were dealing with an upsurge in cases just recently, and in your question, if I may, Minister Richardson, tag on to some of the reasons. Yes, it could be that if we had tens of thousands of testing available, that we would test everybody who was in contact with a COVID positive case. Quarantining means that you remain isolated within your home from the rest of the population. So if they do end up having the virus, they would not have spread it outside of their homes. And in fact, each person within their home should also take the precautions to protect their families. So therefore, wearing masks when dealing with your family, et cetera, doing extra cleaning, hand washing often, et cetera. But luckily, because of where we are and where we've been, many of our government services can be executed from home. And therefore, I'm very happy that the minister is still able to carry out her duties from her home. And lots of us would love that everybody would be able to get tested, but the reality of the financial repercussions of such is extreme for the country whilst we're going through what we're going through now. So the best thing to do, once you have been in contact with a COVID positive case or a suspected COVID positive case, is to quarantine yourself. Government website has all the definitions of what that is. We do already, I heard the minister say it lately, go back to what we were doing when it was really horrible. Wash your hands, sanitize when you enter your home, remove all your clothing, have your shower before you interact with your family members. The clothing that you had on, put that in a bag, put it in a wash, separate it from everything else. So step up our sanitization efforts at home, on the job, in the community. And I know even though more businesses are able to open where social distancing is difficult, it is up to you, each and every one of you, the people of St. Martin, to protect yourself.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Minister Richardson, as well as Bibi for the question. I would now like to invite Jeffrey Sacrin of Island 92 Radio. You have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika, and to Minister Richardson. I hope you and your cabinet are doing well, and please know you're in our thoughts. And welcome to everyone who's here today, especially all the members of the council. This goes to Minister Irian. I have we just received a notice that, July SSRP, July payroll support is now open. You alluded to it as well. Yet when I visit the SSRP website and look for the details and the requirements for applying for July payroll support. Which month, what's the basis, how is it calculated, what are the requirements? There's nothing that is specifically listed with regard to July payroll support. So are we to assume, don't like to assume, that the requirements for July are similar to previous months? We just need to bring everything a month forward. If you could elaborate on the requirements for applying for July payroll support, July SSRP, would be most appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sack, for your question. Yes, so thank you for that notice. So we will update the website, but if you and the businesses that are applying through the portal have been updated on the process. Yes, it will be the same conditions as June. As we know, those conditions were set via the Netherlands for continued payroll support. I'll keep it there.
Education Minister.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Dr. Sack, for that question. I would now like to invite Stephen Cerulean of PG82 Radio. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to you, Prime Minister. Ministers, good morning to you as well as my fellow colleague journalists. My question is for the Minister of ESA, Richard Van der Vleck, as it pertains to the social issues, as you made mention of earlier. Can you say how many persons have been made unemployed due to COVID-19? And B, how many individuals have applied for social assistance from government, Minister?
Good morning, Mr. Stevens. At present, I have to say the exact numbers is being looked in because being out of a job and related to COVID is two different things. We are doing the necessary, and as I said, my attention was a lot concerning the COVID, but we'll be shifting now through the part of the social and the labor too. So hopefully by next week, I will be able to give you the information that you asked today. Sorry about that, but thank you for the question.
Thank you, Minister Van der Vleck. Thank you, Stephen, for the question. I would now like to invite Lyndon Brown. Yes, Minister Edion?
Maybe I could help Minister Besa a little bit. I don't have the details to the question Mr. Styrian just asked, but I could at least give an indication as to how many people applied for income and unemployment support through the SSRP, which are all persons that have at least said that they are unemployed due to COVID, which I mentioned earlier was 770 persons.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Once again, thank you, Stephen, for the question. I would now like to invite Lyndon Brown of BCN TV. You have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present here today. Question can go to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, can you make it available if the government of St. Martin will sign up to the condition of the Dutch Liquidity Fund? Local businesses, rich businessmen on the island are willing to help the government. They mentioned about how about legalize over 60,000 illegal persons that on the island and have them paying $1,000. They also said they will be willing to help the government with funds so that they don't have to borrow from outside. So, Minister, can you tell us what is your final analysis? Do we get enough funds from the government-owned companies? So you can elaborate and speak to the people of St. Martin.
Thank you for your question, Lyndon Brown. In regards to your question to the conditions, we've always been working on the conditions for the Netherlands for support. That has never stopped. Actually, yesterday, we had a meeting with the CFT, and we are to discuss a couple of points that we were not in agreement with. but we are getting to that point, and we believe that this week everything should be finalized. And I'll even give a little bit more elaboration. I'll go into more details on a couple of those points. For example, on the 12.5% cuts, the CFT wanted in the total salary package, the government of St. Martin and its efforts to not touch the salaries of our civil servants and our efforts to not reduce the buying power of our civil servants. We looked at, for example, aspects that were in our LMA. I don't know how you say that in English, but where it states what type of benefits civil servants have. One of them, for example, were uniforms. And so we did include in the package of cuts, uniforms, telephone costs, and so forth. And the back and forth with the CFT is no, they don't see that as a cut in the total salary package as a direct benefit. And they would have seen it that way if it was a tulake in the salary, or there was official agreement with the civil servant and government would supply uniforms, and it gives at least it helps me then for the future as a government to then maybe include these things in the contracts of the civil servants, that, hey, if we're paying for your salaries, if we're paying for your uniforms, it's a benefit. If we're contributing to phones, it's a benefit. If we're giving you a car, gas, and so forth, it is a benefit. Put that in the contract going forward so that we could use these things in the future. And yeah, so the efforts that we are putting together, we are emphasizing on to again, not cut in the salaries, but the argument that the CFT is making is basically we want to see cuts in the total salary package. And what is frustrating about this is that you would hear that, hey, the CFT is going to say, it's not me, it's the instruction of the RMR, the Kingdom Council of Ministers, and then you would hear in the media on that side, hey, I'm just following the advice of the CFT, and we have the island stuck in the middle. As you can see, the results of this being Aruba that were being pushed in the media, especially on over the Atlantic, that they were following all the conditions, still ended up going in the open market because of the goalposts constantly being pushed forward. In either case, coming back to your question, we have never stopped the discussions. We continue to have these discussions, and we are continuing to fight in the best interest of not only our civil servants, but the people of St. Martin. Your other question in regards to 6,000 illegals and business owners that are willing to help the government, they could send an email to r12.area@stmartingov.org or severa.jacobs@stmartingov.org, and we'll be glad to hear their initiatives and their ideas and how they would like to support the government of St. Martin. And again, in regards to 6,000 illegals, I can't confirm this figure or if it's true or not. I've never seen this document or this documentation, but I guess that can be passed on to the Minister of Justice and the Minister of VSA. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Rolika. Thank you, Minister. I think you've done an excellent job of explaining our position. What I would want to add is that if many had paid attention, to the throne raider, the speech, the budget speech of the King just last week, minimally was said about the islands. But if you pay attention to what was said about the Dutch government and its intentions to keep its economy viable, the word investment was used. Not cuts, not stopping payments, but actually investing in the workers, ensuring and doing the same type of salary support that we are trying to do as a country. They are also in deficit, and it is understandable that they want accountability for any funding that comes to St. Martin. But we have shown and we have proven via the vehicles we've used to disseminate salary support and income support for the unemployed, that we have the checks and balances, that their funding will not be misused in any way. We have so many checks and balances on St. Martin, I think we are even over-regulated to some extent, and it stagnates the movement of a lot of actions and decisions that have been taken. So instead of investing in the St. Martin, Aruba, and Curacao economies by ensuring we as governments can assist those businesses that are in peril of losing their sustainability, their livelihoods, we are being told to cut more. All this back and forth, especially where St. Martin is concerned, has been because we have decided not to cut our salaries of our civil servants. How all this started, I think people seem to forget. Aruba was already in major economic problems prior to COVID. So from February or before COVID hit, they were looking at taking the measures that they took. Their measures were not enforced by the Netherlands. They were forced to take these measures because they had billions of dollars in debt. And based on their cuts that they proposed, the Netherlands decided, well, all of you can cut this way. We are 3 different islands with 3 different economies at 3 different places within our development. Aruba has had self-sustainability for over 30 years. Curacao has gained the bulk of the infrastructure, the value of the separation of the Netherlands Antilles, because that's where all of the structures were. Our starting position was the worst. But even after being hit in 2017 by 2 massive hurricanes, we were already at the beginning of 2020 showing progress nobody would have expected. That is the resiliency I want us to focus on. When people don't expect it, St. Martin finds a way. Why? Hub function, international connection to all over the world by sea and by air. And we have people who adapt to our circumstances. So our new normal determines that, hey, maybe we have to go back to the drawing board, and that's why I take this opportunity to ask the unions to stop avoiding the discussions with government. We are not out to get the civil servants or any workers on St. Martin. We are actually fighting to not take any further measures that would hurt the people of St. Martin, whilst having agreed back in March or April to these set of conditions that still have not been finalized in order to be able to feed our people back then when there was no income coming in. We were with our backs against the wall, and we do not want to end up there again. We need cooperation and collaboration at all levels. Right now, the Dutch government is demanding that we cut even further. Yet we cannot even get to the table to have a discussion because of a 7-page letter that was asked for, answers were asked for months ago, which we said we would deal with these structurally as we make plans to deal with all the changes that are necessary to build back St. Martin. St. Martin was not brought to this stage in 2 years, nor 2 months, and we definitely won't get out of it in 2 months, nor 2 years. We need to all tighten our belts. We all need to look for opportunities in the storm, because after every storm, there's sunshine. There's a rainbow. Where is your rainbow? We know that we are constantly being pushed back by the Dutch government, and it is actually uplifting to see that at least one political party, because it is political season in the Netherlands, and I think a lot of our people don't realize that, and at least one party has put out that they would like to see a more equality-based and participation-based movement with the Caribbean islands and not the way it's going now. And so I put my support 100% behind the D66 party in their statements. I've been sent it. I will study it thoroughly, and I will ensure that the people of St. Martin who can vote in the second chamber also have that in mind, because the narrative in the Netherlands is that we are all thieves, we're all conniving, we're all seeking to destroy, while this government of St. Martin that has been duly elected a few months ago has come here in order to deal with all the negativities that has been heaped on the head of St. Martin, all the ashes that has been thrown in the face of St. Martin based on whether it was mismanagement, based on whether there was lack of legislation or the status quo. We have more regulation in place now than ever, and we have the young people, the medium-aged people, and the older persons with the experience to get us where we want to go. And we cannot allow the narrative of the Dutch government to steal the progress we have always fought for.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Minister Adion, as well as Lyndon, for the question. If there are no further ministers, I would like to add to that what the Prime Minister and Minister Adion just added to. This does bring us to the end of the question and answer session, and I would like to thank the members of the media for taking part in the press briefing this morning. Once again, any further questions can be directed to the Minister's cabinets directly. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. For rebroadcast, tune into St. Martin Cable TV, Channel 115, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, and the YouTube channel Government of St. Martin. For video on demand, be sure to log in to the official government's website at stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Rolika Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.